life.
I think I'm good. You good?
Yep.
Episode 4.
Episode 4.
Dun dun dun.
Didn't think we'd make it this far.
No. Still managing to get here and do it.
Yep.
One thing I have noticed from editing is I tend to go or and
yeah, I know.
we also say like quite a lot. So it makes me try and think about what I'm saying before I say it.
Yeah, now you're making me conscious of what I say. I think the problem is it's just getting used to it, and like, there you go. It's the breaks of the what you want to think about and what you want to say, because we like freestyle it. We don't have anything written down. I mean, obviously, I'm sure it will sound like that because it's going to sound very unprofessional. But yeah, we just literally freestyle it, and so.
Do you feel like we talk less at training just so then we have more to talk about now?
Well, we were in the car park the other day and we were talking about something, weren't we, before the grading? Yeah. And I said to you, stop, don't talk about this, because I said otherwise I'll have to try and repeat myself on Tuesday. So yeah, definitely. I'm like, don't talk to me, John. This is podcast material.
Perfect. But so how's your week been going so far? Training? Or just in general?
Yeah, not too bad. Business is very busy and stressful at the moment, but
still trying to make the training sessions.
Yeah, still training. I allocate, or I'm trying to allocate, a Tuesday as my not day off, because I do like all my paperwork and catch up with stuff, but then I can do this.
Like an admin day.
It's an admin day but it means I can train as well and do this, because, pardon me, when my little boy is born, the plan is that I will have him on a Tuesday.
Okay.
So, give Brooke a break, or when she goes back to work or whatever. It's just, so that's the plan. So that's why I'm trying to implement it. I'm trying to implement it now.
Yeah.
So that any staff or anyone who comes on sort of like doesn't all of a sudden be like, oh, he's having a day off. Yeah. So, yeah.
Gets into the routine of it.
That's it. But yeah, training's good. We had a Jack Brickley seminar on Saturday. Were you there?
I was there for about half an hour or so.
Yeah.
I had some stuff I needed to do at work, so I paid to
watch.
I paid to watch for half an hour.
Nice.
I just thought support the cause.
Yeah.
So
that was good. I think that's a.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. Yes. That probably sounds a bit like I didn't then. Like I was going to say something else. No, I did enjoy it, and it was definitely. I'm trying to think if I go into it now or if we probably let's save it.
Yep.
I did enjoy it, but let's save it. Let's do an episode. Potentially we'll get him on.
Yeah.
Potentially
we can speak to him. See if he
we'll
wants
speak
to
to Jack. See if he wants to come on. I'm pretty sure I know he listens to the podcast. He did say he listened, so we'll get him on, because it's his new way of teaching and stuff like that. It's probably best if you have him answering the questions, because I'll say stuff.
Yeah.
But I won't have the answers to the questions that I want answered, if you know what I mean. So it's easier for him to be here.
Yeah.
And then that way you get both sides of the story. Like, I've trained it, he teaches it. So yeah,
that's good.
So we'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Saturday was good.
But overall, you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. From what I saw of it, I enjoyed the look of it.
Yeah. And then apart from that, it's just been an open mat, normal classes. Yeah, and then last night was good. Last night was very good. Yeah, quite an active class. So, yeah, just
I only made the first one.
Yeah.
I was knackered, and I could not be arsed with another hour.
Yeah, you don't need to anymore.
No.
You've completed it. You're done.
I'm close to prestige now. So.
Yeah, that's it. You told Arta last night that he has to go back to white belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with black stripes instead of white ones.
That's quite cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just normal. No, nothing crazy.
Finding any success with a certain submission at all? Or?
If anyone from the outside looks at it, it probably doesn't look like I'm trying, but I am trying to avoid as many submissions as I probably was doing.
Do you mean as in like you're trying to...
I'm trying to do this whole position
over
control over submission.
Okay.
but I find myself not stalling, but like when I'm on top, I'm pinning a bit more and trying to hold those positions rather than working straight into a submission.
Yeah.
So
get the control first.
Yeah. And I'm trying to slow everything down now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, because I know certain things that I can do, but I'm just trying to slow everything down. And also, weirdly, I'm trying some other stuff, like I'm sort of getting into like bolos, bits and pieces like that. Like using rather than looking for submissions, using different techniques to get into positions is basically what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Something like that.
Are you finding it easier? Well, I probably know the answer to this, but you find it easier to slow down in the gi than the no gi?
Yeah.
Because of the grips.
I don't really train much no gi.
No.
I sometimes I get forced at an open mat because everyone else takes their gi off, and if you want a round, you've just got to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to keep
the gi on.
Keep the gi on. Yeah.
Keep the clothes on.
I just find it more enjoyable at the moment, and some of the like the controls and stuff, like the grips and stuff, I'm just enjoying it. So yeah, like I've been doing. We did lasso guard, and then there was a certain sweep from there which I picked up straight away, and now I'm just like I'm working that. So in the gi helps, all that.
Definitely.
But yeah. What about you? How's your week been?
Week's been going pretty well. I've got a massage today.
Ooh.
So that's gonna. So I'm not meant to be training at Sean's.
But you're gonna.
Later. I'm not saying anything.
Yep. I'll wait for the Instagram videos of you strangling Matt.
So fuck, I just said it then. And I just said it again. Training is going well. I was went to one class yesterday, but last week I think I did about 5 or 6. Didn't go to the seminar, watched 30 minutes of it and then sort of left because I had stuff to do with work. But it's just trying to find that balance at the moment, training enough where it keeps me going, but then also working enough where I want to progress with the business and potentially some ideas that possibly just popped up.
We've got some stuff going on, haven't we? Behind the scenes.
Waiting for someone to turn up at some point to talk about that. But it's going well. I'm enjoying it. I've got my shoulders feeling a bit twitchy at the moment. It's not enjoying the cold either. But yeah, training's pretty standard at the moment.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I feel like my movement's coming back.
Yeah.
So far I've lost about a stone or just over now. I'm in the 92s now.
Wow.
Weighed myself this morning.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm coming for you, John.
Yeah.
He's in the 92s as well. Last time he checked. So
it's gonna be. What does the winner get?
I think the winner, the other one has to buy them a 7-bone.
Okay. So I don't know.
So then we'll go straight back up again.
Yeah. So we spoke about it last time, but John Morgan here and John Harrison you're both over 90 and you're both trying to get below 90, and it's whoever gets there first.
Yeah.
Nice.
Might have to try and find a sauna to do one last push.
Do you want to know a secret?
What?
You know he texted you last night saying that he was in the gym.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
No, he sent me a photo after of him in the kitchen.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
he came to me.
I saw the picture, I was like, motherfucker.
He was like, oh, I'm going to get John later. I'm going to send him a picture of one of my gym sessions and say that I'm in the gym. I was like, yeah.
I was in the bath at the time. I was just thought, should I just get up and just go for a jog now? But, oh,
sorry.
That's your glasses.
Was it? Oh. But yeah, so last week we did your story, it is.
There's a couple of things we missed out, but those can be stories for another time.
That's it.
But today is all about you.
Yeah, and you prepared stuff, and I didn't prepare anything. So this is.
I had a little list of things that I could remember from Instagram posts, just to remind myself of stages through my journey.
Yeah.
But
I don't have anything.
No?
I don't really post anything on social media or anything.
No,
so
I'm trying to get better at just posting less and being more. like my Instagram's more for just jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
and then I've got my business page and the other business page.
Yeah.
I'm trying to collaborate with them all, so like people from my Insta or of my
All like
personal,
crossovers.
cross
Yeah.
over. But I'm trying to keep all my personal life out of
Yeah.
social media these
I've
days.
just always been terrible at uploading to social media, even with my business.
I
Like,
think like Judidiots, like I tag you in the stories and hope you post it on your personal.
yeah, and I
I'm
just
like,
don't.
No,
I know. I need
it's
to.
a waste of time.
I need to get better, but I will. But
Where did it all start for you? Where did you first see jiu-jitsu?
so first saw jiu-jitsu. My where do I start? So our coach, Bernie Steve, him and my dad have known each other for years and years and years. So they started at kickboxing together or other stuff. I'm not really sure, but so my dad's always trained something, mainly kickboxing and then like MMA. And he was training at a gym when he started jiu-jitsu, he was training at a gym in Andover, which was, at the time, it was Phoenix, which was part of Phoenix MMA from Southampton. And then, so I wasn't really doing anything. I was probably about 17 at the time. I could drive, so I was probably about 17. And he started training a bit. My dad started training a bit of jiu-jitsu. Started progressing. Think got his blue belt and stuff like that. And then I don't know how or why, but he ended up saying to me, "Come down." But I still didn't know really about jiu-jitsu at this point. He more said to me, "Come down, do the MMA," because he was teaching classes. So,
and at that point, was this your first like look into combat sports in general?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, my dad and my sister both trained kickboxing. I went and did like 2 classes, and I was like, nah. I didn't like being stood in a row and being told to punch, kick, whatever. To me, that was just like it was just pointless. I didn't really like
just punch in the air.
Yeah, and my parents always used to say I didn't like authority, so it's probably something to do with that. So they trained. So like I've always been around martial arts all my whole life, but I've never
dabbled
done it until obviously I used to probably do little bits and pieces with my dad, whatever. But my main classes started when I was about 17. Went down to Andover, started doing the MMA classes.
Yep.
Did that for a while, and then. I can't remember if it was like, so what used to happen was you obviously had like your MMA class, and then it would normally lead into a jiu-jitsu class.
Okay.
And I think, like my dad and Chris Smith and everyone were like, come on, just do it. And I think for ages I was like, nah. Because you look at it, don't you, from the outside, and you just think you're literally just rolling around with another man. Like,
I remember my brother when he started like 3 months before me, and he'd be like, "Oh, let me try this." We'll be in the kitchen. I would just be like, "This is like the gayest looking thing ever. Why would I want to be in your legs, like between your legs?"
That's it. So I put it off for ages, and then I don't know what, I must have just been like, "Yeah, all right, I'll try it." And then I think, like most people, it was just addiction straight away.
Just get hooked.
Yeah, I think so my dad bought me a gi, or no. I think he bought me a white belt, and then he gave me one of his old gis. I've still got it, I think.
Your first gi.
Yeah, and it was like obviously too big for me, like because my dad's like quite a big bloke sort of thing, and so it was too big for me, and so I put it on, tried, went to a few classes, but I don't think I really trained. I remember starting to train jiu-jitsu, but I still didn't really want to put a gi on. So I tried it with the gi, but I mainly did like the no-gi classes.
Okay.
Then, so, we're talking like, this is probably, between MMA and a bit of jiu-jitsu, this is probably like my first 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I started the gi, and again, this is a bit like I don't really remember. It was like 11 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I started training in the gi, and then I really got into it. Like I remember I was getting up at like 5 a.m.
Yep.
I was going to the gym. Then I was obviously shower, change, go straight to work, and then I was leaving work at like 5, and I was going straight to Andover.
Where were you living at this time?
Newbury.
Okay, so it's not that bad of a drive.
Yeah, and then so I was driving straight to Andover, and I was literally in the gym from 5:30 through till like whenever it shut at night, and I think it was quite late. I want to say it was like, I want to say I could be completely wrong, but I want to say it was like 9, half 9. I remember I wasn't really getting home till like 10 o'clock at night every night.
Was you in any relationship at this point?
So I started training when I wasn't, and then I met Brooke, and I was training quite, like a lot.
Yeah.
And then, so this is probably about a year in,
Okay.
I would say. So this is like about a year of training.
Just committed to it, just going to everything possible.
Yeah, but I was doing like, so you say I was turning up, I was doing an MMA class, then I was probably doing like, because again, it's hard to remember, but I'm pretty sure I was doing an MMA class, straight into a no-gi class, and then straight into a gi class every day, pretty much. I don't remember
3 hours a day.
I don't remember having time, like a time off.
No,
it's weird. Like it just feels like that's all I did, and then I was getting up in the morning and doing an hour's gym session as well.
It becomes such an addiction.
Yeah, I think I was that addicted. I don't really remember the exact times or classes or whatever. And then I started, like you start doing like a few seminars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I found a picture the other day from 2016, and when I was in a Liam McGeary seminar.
Okay.
No-gi seminar and stuff like that. So yeah. But then I went through a bit of a time in my life. I was working somewhere at the time, and I wasn't happy.
What kind of job was it?
So when I left school, I was trained in mechanics.
Okay.
So originally I was a car mechanic, but I used to work on old, like classic cars. I didn't really do new stuff. But yeah, I was working there, but it was one of those jobs where like I was just doing it. I didn't really enjoy it.
No.
And I can't think. I don't like you. Similar to you, it's hard to put.
A bit phasey, like trying to remember which
what
bit
happened
went
where. But
yeah.
I went through a bit of a bad time. I think my granddad passed away, and I quit the garage. Like I sort of. Oh well, I was like depressed.
Yeah.
I remember because I wasn't really leaving. I was living at home with my mum, and I wasn't leaving my bedroom. And I remember saying to my dad, I was like, I think I rang him or texted him or whatever, and I was like, I'm not going back to the garage. I need you to come and help me take my stuff away.
Yeah.
So I literally went down one evening, got all my stuff from the garage, took it home, and that was it. I never went back. I just quit. Probably not the right way to do it,
No.
but I just wasn't happy. So, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
But I also basically gave up training like straight
Just
away.
everything.
If you know what I mean, yeah. Which frustratingly wasn't the right thing to do because it would have helped me through, but it was just bad times. I mean, to really start my story of my life, I've always suffered with mental health problems. So when I was, God,
take your time.
Yeah, when I was 8, we were on a family holiday in Sri Lanka, and so 2004. So if anyone knows, some people know, some people don't know. Boxing Day 2004 was obviously the Indian Ocean tsunami.
Yeah.
We was on a family holiday for Christmas, and so basically, I was 8. we were pretty much on the beach, 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and I suppose I could go a bit into the story of
Speak as much as you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah, so get up. So we're in Sri Lanka on holiday. I say I'm 8. My sister was 10, I think, in 2004. We went down for breakfast. Very eerie atmosphere.
Okay.
It's like something was going on.
Did people ever, at that point, people knew something was coming?
So with that tsunami, I think it sparked a lot of countries to get warning systems in place.
Okay.
Because no one knew this was happening. The earthquake happened like overnight, and so obviously it was overnight that the waves started coming, sort of thing. But it happens like quite quickly. I think it. I mean, don't fact check me. I probably should know, but I think the wave was traveling at like over 200 mile an hour or something.
No.
Like that. So yeah, get up. We're downstairs. I remember my dad and my sister went down before us, or I think my dad went for a surf because we surf like a little bit, and we were on with a couple of friends, their friends, and so I think my dad and his friend went for a surf that morning. Came back up. My sister was down for breakfast. Me and my mum came down, but I remember when we was coming down, there was the locals were very agitated.
Okay.
And weird stuff like you normally hear the birds singing, and there was a monkey that was on the hotel resort.
Oh, really?
And that was gone. There was no noise.
Just everything's silent.
Everything was silent. And the first thing that happened was the sea went out. So it didn't come in. It went. The tide went out really quite fast, and it was a bit like everyone was like, "That's weird," you know. And it started coming back in again slowly, but it didn't stop. It just kept rising up, and where we were stood, there was probably like a 4-foot wall to the sand, and the water basically came up past that, then just kept coming, and we were like, okay,
when's
just
it
like
gonna stop?
All the locals were sort of like, I think, you know, you sort of gather they were saying it was like they thought it was just a freak tide.
Okay.
So, I remember it getting quite deep, and I think my dad was like, "Oh, we better go get it back into the hotel room or whatever." Yeah. But he'd left. I think it was some towels on a sun lounger right next to the beach, basically, and he went to try and get them. Obviously, like wading through the water at this point, and he looked over the balcony, and the wave didn't come straight onto us. It came like across the beach. So he obviously looked down the beach and saw it coming, like a massive surge of water. So then it was like panic, and I don't remember much of this point because it was just like basically get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Did you all go back to the hotel then?
So at this point, the water had got so deep that it was like surging. So it was actually quite like dangerous. I think I must have been holding on to like one of my parents, because I think if I hadn't, it would have washed me at this point. So we couldn't get through the main entrance to the hotel because it was that powerful, the water, that you would have got washed away. And the locals were basically saying, come this way. And there was a downstairs bedroom, ground floor bedroom, and it had 2 entrances. So the guy, they basically opened the door and like were passing people through this bedroom. It was only a really small bedroom, I remember. And I remember getting passed through the room. My parents, I think this is the point where the wave hit. And again, I was 8, so it's hard to remember. I remember, I mean, another sort of side story is that through a lot of anyone with like PTSD, or I've had counselling and stuff like that, people say that you struggle to remember points because you were so pent up with like adrenaline or whatever at the point.
So much going on.
Yeah,
it's hard.
And it was. I can't even explain how mental it was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting passed through this room. Me and my sister got passed out the other side with a couple of other kids. And I remember vividly hearing, it sounded like really, really loud thunder. Where the restaurant was, there was a glass, like, conservatory where you used to be able to eat dinner.
Okay.
And I remember hearing thunder and loads of glass smashing. And then that was obviously the wave, like, hitting as such. And then it was like carnage. So the door to the room that my parents were in actually slammed shut. They were trapped inside. And as I just remember being stood there looking at this door, and I was like, I just froze. I didn't know what to do. And there was a block wall behind me. And I think I remember helping my sister, like giving her a foot up to get up on this wall. I think I got up there, but the surge that was happening at that point, as I got on the wall, luckily it burst the door open to the room that my parents were in because it was like filling up.
Yeah.
But as it did that, the wave like hit the wall that I was on, and I collapsed.
Oh no!
Like I was trapped under these blocks. Don't know who this guy was or why, but I remember this guy just grabbed me by my like neck and yanked me up out of these blocks.
Yeah.
And then the bit after that gets really hazy. Like all I remember,
A lot of it's like a blur.
Yeah, I remember being in the water, and then all of a sudden I remember running along the roof of the hotel, 3-story hotel, and we're running along the roof of it. That's how high the water went at this point. Obviously, everyone's separated. I managed to stay with my sister somehow. Don't know how. And we sort of like ran along, jumped down some walls, and ended up on this quite high like grass mound.
Okay.
And there was just like people everywhere, but like just like injured people, like people with really bad injuries. And yeah, it's hard to explain. It was like almost like a war zone.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Those situations are so, I wouldn't say completely rare, but like it's one of those things not everyone experiences.
Yeah, I've never met anyone else that's
been through
something like that. So yeah, it's obviously is quite rare. Very unfortunate, I suppose. Very lucky because I was to say that all of my family survived. So, but
that's the thing that sort of as we go back to the jiu-jitsu and your job that you quit, it all sort of comes back to that in a way. That gives you.
So this story is definitely where all of my problems come from. Like through all my childhood, I was diagnosed with PTSD. Everyone basically just said I was too young
to go through
something like that and not have problems out the back of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll finish, like, say the story basically. So we were there. Don't know, absolutely no idea how it happened, but my dad just appeared from nowhere. Like, of all the it went like
everything going on. It
went
out.
2 kilometers into the jungle. Like this wave. Like to explain it, if anyone has, or I would recommend watching a film called The Impossible, and it was based on the tsunami.
Okay.
And it seems fake, but that film, that's pretty accurate of what it was like. It was like you'd never have outrun it. It was just absolute. There was stuff everywhere in the water. My dad was telling a story about the other day, basically saying the hotel was 3 stories high, and the wave was that big and powerful, it wiped out 2 floors, like cleaned them out.
Jesus.
Like there was nothing left. Gone. It was just 2 sidewalls, and that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I remember, and then so we stood up on this grass verge, and yeah, my dad just appeared from nowhere, and I was like, "What you know, you're just like, what is going on? I remember I was just like in hysterics thinking, what is going on? We were like running up to people and saying, we can't find our parents. Do you know what I mean? And and then all of a sudden my dad just appeared, and it was like, okay. And he said, stay here. I got to go and find your mum. And so yeah, he just went off and was like, he found my mum up holding on. So she was like holding on to a palm tree.
Oh, really?
Like up a palm tree, just holding on.
Jeez.
And I can't remember if the water had, because I remember being stood on this hill and the water subsiding, and it just dragged everything with it, like cars, anything you can think of. It was just all being sucked out back out to the ocean. It was just like, it was just absolutely crazy. And it was just like, I don't know how much I should really go on to it in here, but you know, you could hear people screaming, being sucked back out into the ocean because they were powerless. Do you know what I mean?
It's incredible how powerful
the water is. The ocean is. Yeah. It's mad. So, but yeah, after that, luckily, my dad found my mum. Our friends that were in the hotel, so they were in the hotel, but I think they were on like one of the higher floors.
Okay.
So they were fine. I remember them saying they were just helpless. They were just watching this happen. Do you know what I mean? But they came down, found us. We all got reunited. But then obviously it was like, what do we do? Everything's wiped out. So again, I don't really know. I was only a kid, so I don't know much about the organisation of things or whatever. But we basically ended up having to walk into the jungle. There was rumours that there was the hotel owner was building his own house or something. It was half built, so we basically just got told to walk in a direction, and that was it. So we did that. I think we walked like 5 kilometers into the jungle or whatever, and found this house. I mean, I won't say too much, but you can imagine what you were sort of walking over.
Yeah.
As you're walking there, a vivid one is I remember walking, and my dad was holding my hand, and he like yanked me as if to be like, don't step on that. Yeah. So I'll let your imagination. But so we got there, and then it was basically just like the fallout, you know. It was like we had no food, no water, there was no services, everything was wiped out. No one had any diesel or petrol or anything in their cars. You couldn't go anywhere. I'll tell you a funny side story to this, though.
Yeah.
I remember I had these flip-flops on, and they were black with flames on.
Nice.
Right, yeah. Always a style icon. Weirdly, in the commotion, I managed to keep one on my foot.
Really?
How, I do not know, but I had one on. And for some unknown reason, I kept one on the whole time. Like
just walk around with
I had one
flip-flop.
barefoot and one flip-flop on. Don't know why. A couple of days into staying into this jungle, this guy turns up on a motorbike out of nowhere, and he had my flip-flop on.
Did he?
Yeah, it was way too small for him, but obviously because no one had anything, he just obviously saw, and he had my flip-flop on. And I remember saying to my sister, I was like, he's got my flip-flop on, go and get it. And I can't remember if she did or not, but I'm pretty sure she went and got it, and so I had my flip-flops again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if my mum kept them, but yeah, that's always a story that I tell people about that.
You got your flip-flop back.
Yeah, got that back. But so, and all I remember, we survived in the jungle, right? And all we had to eat, for some unknown reason, they had loads of chickpeas.
Okay.
And they used to just boil chickpeas and mouldy bread. That's all we ate for like 3 or 4 days.
So after this, you were there for actually 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, because we didn't know what to do. And to drink, we used to have to find. Basically, we found like crates of like Coke and Sprite and stuff that had been washed up. So we used to just find them, clean them, and then drink them.
Yeah.
And that's all you ate. Couldn't drink the water because everything was like,
done.
Yeah, it was gone. And then, so I think somehow my dad managed to get a phone, and he contacted our family and that, and basically said like, we are alive, you know, because they didn't know. No one knew what had happened. There was a TV a few days in. I think the power got put back on or whatever. And I remember seeing a TV in the living room, and it was just on the news, and it was like, you know, when you just think something happened just to you, and then all of a sudden we're watching these news reports, and it's like, okay, this was huge. Like, this affected loads of countries. And yeah, people just started like walking. So people got told, like, if you walk like, you know, 50 miles in that direction or whatever, you might come to the next town. But we stayed put. And then one day a minibus just turned up, and they said, you know, you don't know if it was true or not, but it was like, we're going to the airport, so jump in if you want to. And so everyone just squeezed in, like it was like, you know, 40 people in this little minibus just squeezed in. And they actually took us to a military airport. And another funny story that always annoys me, they were flying you out in Chinooks.
Okay.
And so we were waiting, and everyone else was getting on these Chinooks and getting flown out, and they were flying them to the main airport to get out of the country. And then they were like, oh, there's no more Chinooks. And then this fucking stupid little cargo plane rolls onto the runway, and it's like, they're like, yeah, you're just going to have to get in that. And literally, it's just nothing in it, no seats or anything. We just had to get in it and sit on the floor. And I was like, of all the things, I could have got on a Chinook, and now I've got to sit in this thing. But yeah. Flew to the main airport, and then it was carnage. In the airport, it was just absolute bedlam.
I guess like no one had any of their luggage either.
Yeah, I don't even know if we had passports or anything. I don't know I don't know. Yeah, no, nothing. But no one had tickets. No one. But there was hundreds of thousands of people in that airport just wanting to get out of the country. Locals, you know, everyone, people on holiday, whatever. So yeah, it was absolute carnage. But somehow my dad managed to sort out a flight to get us out of there, and we flew home. I don't know dates or anything, but it was probably I would say around a week after the actual event, we finally managed to get on a flight home. But yeah, that's a very long sort of cut down story of what happened, but essentially it's quite important for me to tell that story, because that is, and obviously was, what caused me to have problems throughout my life. After that, I didn't go to school for a long time. Didn't ever feel safe like leaving the house. I remember my mum used to try and drop me to school, and I'd just have a meltdown, and I used to be like, no, what about if, you know, I was really petrified of the rain, because I thought that it was going to like flood and
flash floods,
and stuff like that. So for ages I didn't really go to school, went to loads of counselling sessions and stuff like that, and I think eventually I just, you know, I don't know, really say it's all a bit of a blur, but I guess I got back to some form of normality, started going back to school and stuff like that, and then, but ever since that point I've always suffered with like I don't really know what it would be called, but like not very not so much now, well, sort of, I'll get into it, but I didn't like being alone. I didn't like being on my own or anything like that. And a lot of it dates, you know, obviously like the separation with my parents and stuff like that. I would assume, I'm not a counsellor, I don't know. I've always thought the counselling and stuff didn't really help me, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I just think something's embedded in my brain that's never gonna change. Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, got on with life, got going, and then I suppose, that sort of brings me back round to my training as such, because I started training and stuff like that. So it's sort of 10 years.
So get back to where we were.
Yeah, sorry.
You had just you quit your job.
Yeah.
You're saying that back at home, didn't really go out.
Yeah, again, I just sort of, similar to like you were saying, I just sunk into like a black hole, really.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Did you find like part of your mind was telling you to go do something and push through it, and then another part of you was like, no, and just kept thinking about the things that were just bothering you at the time?
I think at that time as well, I got very fed up of suffering with problems.
Yeah. Getting frustrated a bit.
Yeah, it's like I didn't want to have that as my life.
No.
To be honest. So yeah, I mean, like, again, don't know, but sort of, yeah, not a really bad, sort of a bad time.
Yeah.
Don't really know. Yeah, so bringing it back to training obviously dragged me out.
Yeah.
Like, it got me out, it got me exercising, and as I said to you, like, physical exercise and stuff like that, it just gets your mind better.
Definitely.
You know, stuff like that. So started training. So yeah, I'll go back to the training. So
did you keep, like, once you lost that job, you got to a point where you could almost dip in and dip out, like?
Yeah, so I think I was sort of dipping in and out of a bit of training here and there. Can't remember the first time I came to Newbury, but I don't think it would be much. Well, when did you start? 2018?
Yeah.
Around there. So around 2018, I dipped back into Newbury.
Cause I remember seeing you sat on the
you
side,
were a
like,
white
watching,
belt. Yeah.
Like, joined in a little
That's
bit.
it, yeah. So you were a white belt, so say around 2018. So, and then I think I trained at Newbury then for a little bit. I can't really remember how long. Maybe, I don't know, could be completely wrong, but maybe around 6 months or something like that. I don't know, just coming in, coming out, doing a few classes and that. And then, so 2018, yeah. So
just before lockdown, that wasn't it?
Yeah, so at this time, God, I'm trying to think. No, that wasn't just before lockdown. No.
I got my blue belt session before lockdown.
Which was 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2018, me and my girlfriend...
No, it would have been like 2020, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but so in 2018, me and my girlfriend at the time, she's wife now, but we were converting a van, and so we were going to go travelling.
Okay.
I don't leave the UK. I don't trust other countries for obvious reasons.
Yep. You can kind of understand that.
Yeah, so I don't leave the UK. So we were just going to drive around the UK, like, weirdly, again, side story, but I do surfing and that. A lot of people were amazed that I will go anywhere near the sea, but I still surf.
For some reason, you, like, trust the ocean around the UK.
Yeah, so that's fine. So, yeah, so we were converting a van at the time. We were going to go away. I basically just working, converted this van, and then 2019 we both sort of like quit the work we were doing at the time. At the time I think I was just labouring for my dad, or I can't really remember. I was doing something in the building trade, and yeah, so we went away, and great 6 months.
So I take it during those 6 months of being away, you didn't train at all?
No. It was basically like a reset of everything.
Get away, forget everything, reset, come back and start fresh.
But what happened was, towards the end of our trip, hardly anyone knows this story.
Ooh.
Yeah. So towards the end of our trip, there was a big storm down on the Cornwall coast.
Okay.
And there was all like warnings put out, and something triggered in my brain that I just didn't feel safe anymore. And I remember I just had a complete meltdown, panic attack. I said to Brooke, I was like, I got to go home. I said, I've got to go home. Couldn't get out of it. So we ended up driving home. And basically I just slipped back into like a very odd... I'd never really known that I'd suffered with like anxiety problems, but 2019 I effectively got diagnosed with like an anxiety disorder. I couldn't leave the house without having a panic attack. It got that bad. I was pretty much stuck in a house for like 6 months.
Jeez.
Just didn't leave, didn't work, didn't do anything.
Did you get fat?
No, I've never got fat. Sorry, John.
Shit.
Yeah. Again, so got out of that hole. Somehow I just got dragged back to work. I remember a guy, quite a close family friend sort of thing, was like, kept offering me work, and I finally, took a couple of days here and there, and then
slowly
built back up, got going and stuff like that. And that would have brought me back through to training again, because I started getting out of the house, and then I was like, I need to do something. So I'm pretty sure I dipped back into Newbury again for a little bit. I should say, for all this time of training in and out and stuff like that, I was a white belt, no stripes, just a white belt.
Just doing it for the love of it.
Yeah, I didn't really consider that you could progress. It was weird.
No?
I didn't really.
Did you just look at it as something where there wasn't like belts, even though you wore a belt? It just felt like you just continued.
I think it seemed like I was a white belt, and I never saw myself getting any better than a white belt, in a weird sense.
Yeah.
So, I still, that white belt that I always trained with was the same white belt my dad gave me when I was like 17. So
Oh really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry.
Had it for like, at that up to my blue belt. I think it was like 10 years or something like that. So then I'm dipping in and out of training. I'm just working. A lot of my story is like mental health problems. It's just, I think now I've come to accept that is just who I am.
Yeah. I
guess a lot of people don't know this, so it's quite big for me to
say it,
put it out. But I'm not cured by any means. I have a lot of anxieties now that I never used to have. I won't really go into that. But yeah, I'm not better by any means, but accepting, if you know what I mean.
Do you find the jiu-jitsu helps?
Yeah, so
coping with
that's what I was going to lead to, is that fast forward another few years of not training and stuff like that, and then I don't know what year, I'm trying to think, when I came back to Newbury.
Would have been after lockdown, wouldn't it?
I think it was sort of just after lockdown, or a year after lockdown, or I can't think.
It was
really.
during when you started building Sam's extension.
I did Sam's extension, and I think they just got married just before that, because they got married just out of lockdown, didn't they?
Yeah, they were like the first wedding.
Yeah, so I started building their extension. I knew Sam, weirdly. So when I was still suffering a bit, I was pretty good at this point, but me and Brooke were then like trying to save for a house, and so I was working all day, and then at night I was doing a delivery job for Indians. I was delivering Indian takeaways.
'Cause you delivered to us once or twice, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I was just working like all the hours basically, and do you remember delivering an Indian to Sam, and he was like, "Oh, you don't know any builders, do you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a builder, you know, like if you want, blah blah blah." And anyway, obviously I knew him from training, but not very well.
Yeah.
Just sort of like, and then ended up doing his extension, and things happened that I'm definitely not going to go into, but things happened that made me, Sam, and Catherine obviously have quite a big connection.
Yep.
And I would consider them, like, I'd do anything for them. And I think they know that.
Yeah.
But one of the things he kept doing was just saying to me, "You got to come back training. You got to come back training. You got to come back training," sort of thing. So I considered it a couple of times. I think I said this last time, but I sort of drove there once, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it, and drove home, and then drove there again, like on a Thursday or whatever. I think it was an open mat that I came back to, and I remember I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then Sam's like walking past, and he's like, "Come
with
on!"
This
and
massive
I was like,
smile on his face,
and I was just like, "Oh no!" So obviously I went in, and then had a really good session, and then that was it. I was like, right, I'm staying, I'm training, and then so like I've been training for a while. I think I did a comp, and then I think I got like 2 stripes put on my white belt, and I was like,
first time getting a stripe.
Yeah, and I was like, this is weird. I was like, I've had this belt for years. I've trained. I think from starting to my day now of training, I would say I've probably got 4.5, 5 to nearly 5 years worth of training, spread over a 10-year period, something like that. So So you imagine you've done all that training, and then I get 2 stripes put on my belt, and I was like, cool. And then I didn't think it would mean anything, but then it was like, it sort of was like sparked it again. Then I was like, right, that's it. I'm done. I'm training. Like I'm getting my black belt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've just been like committed ever since.
That's after them was when you had a comp, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah. So after that, I competed at the Budo event. You were there. Obviously, we spoke about yours, but I was white belt. I was supposed to fight a MMA guy. But he pulled out. I think he had either a shoulder injury or a knee injury or something. I remember he was there actually because I spoke to him afterwards. But yeah, I went against this guy, another white belt, and our rule set was 5 minutes, and as many subs in that 5 minutes as you can. Obviously, if you sub them, tap, you reset, you stand up, and obviously, it could be like, this guy had 3 subs, this guy had 2 subs, so this guy wins or whatever. I managed to get 4.
I think it was 4.
4 submissions in the 5-minute round. I've got to try and remember this now. I got a straight footlock, rear naked, a telephone armbar. I'm trying to think what the other one was.
Kimura, maybe?
Yeah, it was Kimura. I had him in close guard. He tried to stand me up, and I managed to Kimura him. Yeah.
Which, for a white belt, 2 stripes at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Getting 4 different submissions
from different positions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was frustrated because there was a win of the day that was like whoever got the most amount of subs in a round won like a rash guard or some gear or something. Yeah. And I remember I was knackered, and Bernie was there cornering, and he was like, we stood back up again after like the 4th sub, and he was like, I remember him shouting, he was like, double leg, get another sub, double leg, get another sub. But I was like, I was done, and I knew I'd won, if you know what I mean. So
yeah,
because he didn't get any subs on me, so I sort of was like, I'm safe. Even if he I remember in my head thinking, even if he subbed me now, I'm good. So
yeah.
I was like, yeah. So I won that. That was really good. Like, and you feel like on top of the world.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember like, on social media, people were saying like it was a really good performance and all that sort of thing. So you feel good for it.
I think that rule set for white belts is great.
100%.
Because like usual comp you turn up to as a white belt, you can get subbed in the first fight and then your day's over.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Whereas that, at least you get time to come back and have the potential to win still.
Yeah, that's it. Don't know. I think having that in my head is why I did better than the other comps that I've done with the normal rule set of like one match, if you get subbed, you're off sort of thing. Because I knew, and I remember you saying to me, because you were like one side of the mat with Brooke, and then Bernie was in my corner. But I remember you saying to me, you were like, even if you get subbed, it doesn't matter. So like, because I was saying, if I get subbed, it's going to be, and you were like, if you get subbed, just stand up, reset, go again. And I was like, right, cool. And so that was really good. But that's probably what I would imagine triggered me getting my blue belt, I would assume. I mean, I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes, but because I think it wasn't that long after that.
There was a lot of chatter going on about that. And it was pretty soon after that. Yeah,
I guess, I mean, again, I don't know. It was probably quite hard for our coach, and again, he might rip me for saying this, or I could be completely wrong, but I remember people saying to me, I kept having a conversation with you, because we'd got quite close at this point, and people were moaning at me, saying, you're sandbagging, you should be a blue belt, because I was surviving against the blue belts and stuff in the gym and whatever. And I almost quit again because I got really frustrated with people. I said to you, I remember having a conversation with you, and I said, I don't care. I don't want my blue belt. I don't care. But I said, I'm getting really annoyed with people like not rolling with me, or like not. it wasn't meant in like a horrible way, but it was almost like constantly people saying to me, you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't be that, you should be a blue belt, and you sort of like start to put doubts in your own.
Like, why am I not a blue
yeah,
belt?
sort of. But I always said, and I remember saying to you, I'm not going to get my blue belt anytime soon because I'd probably only been back in Newbury training again at this point for like 6 or 7 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to get it from the coach's point of view that someone can't just rock up with a white belt on, no stripes, and then in 6 months get given their blue belt. Do you know what I mean? So it's probably quite hard for him to make that decision.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Knowing that you had been training before.
Yeah, but not everyone else.
Yeah.
There was a select few people like Sam, you, obviously Bernie would have known that I'd trained before. Like there was a select few people, but to his students,
they just see this guy turn up and then get a belt in like 6 months.
Exactly. So it's a weird situation, and I always understood that. I was definitely expecting not to have got my blue belt so soon, if you know what I mean. I was like, right, I'll start again, you know what I mean. Got 2 stripes, so I was like, yep, cool, let's go, you know. But yeah, so I got my blue belt.
And that chatter that people do, like, it's natural, it always happens, because like when, I think I was talking to you about, like, when I was a white belt going close to blue, how everyone would say, oh, you're a blue belt, you're up next, and all this, and like other clubs would even say it as well, and it's like, it always happens, and it's not meant in like a bad way, it never is.
But it gets in your head.
Yeah, 100% it does.
And then I remember everyone that used to say to me, I would just say, I don't care, I'm not here for that. I think
do it 'cause you love it.
My dad always used to say to me, trying to think of the saying that he used to say to me, he was like, your belt only covers 2 inches of your ass, you've got to cover the rest.
Yeah.
And he said, don't worry about belts. So I think maybe that's where I've always got it from, that I'm just like, yeah, cool. Yeah. I train to train. I don't train to have something wrapped around my waist, if you know what I mean. So hence why I think I was always no gi more, but now I'm gi through and through now.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. So yeah, that happened, got promoted to blue belt. I think that was like August or September last year. Yeah, obviously last year. So I've been a blue belt for a bit now, but I think
you're a veteran blue belt.
I think my blue belt, yeah, something like that. I think my blue belt is the belt where I've made all of my progression.
You reckon?
Yeah, and I think
apart from the one round sort of being smothered for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, fuck that. That's horrible.
That was just a bad day.
Yeah, that was a bad day. That was an off day. But yeah, I've definitely learned most of like put everything together that I've learned over the years at blue belt, and have been able to like chain it now. And because even I remember even rolling with you when I was a white belt, and like you used to say to me, like when I used to do stuff that I'd learned other places, and you were like, what is this?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's sorcery magic.
Yeah, but yeah, so blue belt, I've never competed at blue belt. Oh no, I did the in-house comp, and I...
Was that before your competition or after the blue belt?
No, so that was at blue belt. I was a blue belt at the in-house, because it was,
That's the in-house that I wasn't there at, wasn't it?
I don't know. So I got my blue belt, and then that would have been around Christmas time, wouldn't it? That Bernie normally does the in-house comp around Christmas time. So yeah, I did that. That's the only competition I've done at blue belt as such, you know, like our in-house. And I think I lost my actual weight category rounds. If anyone that rolls with me or you'll vouch, competition rules don't really work for me. Because if someone passes my guard or whatever, I don't really care, because I'll be thinking about something else.
Yeah.
So like sub-onlys,
you're not worried about points.
Yeah. I understand all the point system, and I get it, but I've normally got something else going on in my head, which would be like a submission I could set up from whatever. Yeah. So standard competition rule set doesn't normally work very well for how I roll, but could be wrong, don't know. That's just my personal what I think.
I think sub-only competitions probably suit your style of game a lot more. Because
I don't mind being
in a bad situation
underneath. with my back on
Because
the
there's
mat.
always something, like someone makes a slight adjustment and you just catch like inverted triangle or arm bars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's your game.
So, but I think on that in-house comp, I did actually come second in the absolute.
Nice.
Yeah. I lost on EBI round because I didn't actually know what EBI round was. So it was you either got option of arm bars, what's it called, S script, set up, or taking the back. And so me and the guy I was against did back take. Did we? Oh, I think so. I could be completely wrong here, but all I remember is I didn't realise that when I took his back, all I had to do was hold on to it or submit him.
Yeah.
So.
And then just have to beat his time.
So me being me, I basically just like let him go because I was trying to set up an armbar, and he like spun and got out, and I was like, that wasn't supposed to happen because I didn't understand that all I had to do was hold on basically.
Yeah.
And then obviously he took my back, and but he obviously understood the fucking situation, and all he just held on, you know what I mean, and I had to escape. I escaped, but obviously the time had elapsed here, so he won.
Yeah.
So that's one of my things that I wish I just went into it blind. I didn't really know what was going on, but that's that. So done all right. And then really, I've just been committed to training. I try and do as many.
Haven't done any more comps?
No, I don't really have any intentions. I don't enjoy the build up. I don't really have time. As much as I train now is probably as much as I could ever do, and I don't have the time to implement anything else or any other training to build up to a comp, if you know what I mean.
Especially with the kid on the way and
yeah,
everything going on at the moment.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
So I've basically, drawn a line, and I've said I'm going to keep committed to training. Say next aspiration would be next belt, really, however long that takes me to get there. And then after that, I would probably like to start coaching if I was given the opportunity. I think that's where I would that would be my goals for now. Would be get my next belt. Not obviously not anytime soon. It's going to be a few years yet, and then hopefully lead that into a coaching role.
Nice.
Because
do you think you would compete if it was just like, I think for me, the way I'm looking at it at the moment, I kind of would like to compete, but not putting any pressure on myself. So if I know the team's going to go to a comp, I might just like last minute just sign myself up.
Yeah,
or just
that's it. Yeah.
Not put any major preparation in because I don't have the time to go guns blazing.
Exactly that. Yeah. So like, Bernie messages me every now and then about competing, and he messaged me a couple of days ago because there's a blue belt comp coming up next year, which is like $5,000 prize money. I can't remember the name. It's got a weird name like Icking Doom blah blah blah. Whatever.
I think that's the one Cam's trying to do.
Yeah. So, he messaged a few of us, the blue belts, and obviously for $5,000, it's kind of like I was like. At first, I sent a message to my mates, and I was like, $5,000, I'm all in. I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not going to get that for a blue belt comp. You're not going to get that. But then I was like, the rule set came out, and it was like, there's only one person from each gym allowed to enter, blah, blah, blah. And I messaged Cam. I was just like, so Cam is probably our, like... He's our competitor in the gym, if you know what I mean. Like his goals are he wants to compete. He wants to
be a big name.
He wants to make a name for himself.
Yeah.
And he's doing that. He's smashing it. Do you know what I mean? Like
he's very good. And
very good. Yeah.
He picks up on techniques so quickly.
Yeah.
And he's so calm as well. When you watch him roll, it looks like he's putting no effort in.
Yeah. Definitely high level. I would almost say nearly the highest level blue belt in our gym, but that's
off the top of my head, I would probably say
that's my personal, not to upset anyone, that's just my personal opinion. But don't forget the hours that he puts in. He does like every training session, and he does like loads of strength and conditioning, and he does like 3 hours on a Sunday with Baker Boys comp class. Do you know what I mean? So if you look at his hours and mat time, then you know what I mean. But
I'm enjoying training with him and Alfie at the moment because they are like around 24, I think, both of them.
Yeah,
And they're smashing the training sessions, and they really want it. So coming to an open mat when they're both healthy, it's just like they'll shoot double legs. They love the scrambles, and it's just good fun.
That's it. So so that comp sort of got through around, and then, but I basically messaged Cam and I just said, look, are you wanting to go for this? And he was like, yeah. And I said, well, I'm not. I've sent the guy a message. I was like, look, basically, like I said, $5,000. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. But then I sent Cam a message. He was like, yeah, I want to do it. And I said, do you know what? I said, cool. Let's put you forward then for our gym representative, because as much as $5,000 is nice, I'd rather he probably got the money, because it would be a massive to him for his future.
Yeah.
And then just also to get his name out there.
Yeah.
And I'd rather support him like by going up and watching, even like we could get him some kit made and stuff like that. I'd rather get his name out there because that's his thing, that's his future. Yeah. So it's just
It's what he wants to do, and he's pushing it so hard.
Yeah.
And as you said, like, you haven't got the drive to compete like he can.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I think it
You're
would...
at a different stage in life.
It would almost be wasted for Newbury BJJ, essentially, to put me forward because I don't have the commitment to put my all into it, whereas he does. So I'm like, that's what he's got to do. Do you know what I mean? So so that was the only comp that I considered. I mean, we've got the in-house coming up. I'm sort of in two minds. Will I? Won't I? It's a bit of a risky time for me. Baby will be due any time, so it's a bit of a injury. An injury at that point would be.
You can always just take it slightly light.
Yeah, obviously that is true. But I've had my arm broken in a drilling session, so
you don't really want that to happen again.
Yeah, that's it. So I might do, I might not, but we'll see. But yeah, pretty much that is my story
up until this point, really.
Yeah, so just crack on, get on. That's where I'm going now. I'm going to go train.
Same.
So
on to the next
hopefully
episode.
It wasn't too boring for everyone. But yeah, next week we'll switch it up a little bit. I think we've got some ideas. So yeah, next week should be potentially not just our boring voices.
No, there might be an extra person involved.
Yes, that's it.
Just have to get some planning together and available times.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I'm going to go train, and so's John.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got a chat to have real quick with someone.
Yes.
Before training, so we might be a little bit late. Yeah. But hopefully not.
Oh well.
We'll see.
This just means we missed the warm up.
Yeah.
Right. See you later.
See you later.